Hello everyone again, and welcome back to Science Fiction Station, a video series of lessons where I read to you from this book, Il Noblet Elmer and the Alien Water Thieves, by myself, Catherine Rose Newey. And then there are matching worksheets which look like this. Okay, so before I read chapter 6 to you today, let's have a look at the worksheets. So, let me put my glasses on. Right, so you've got 2 pages. So worksheet part A has got, for chapter 6, has got activity 1. In this chapter, Il Noblet's science teacher introduces the water cycle and why water may disappear over time. As the author reads this chapter, that's me, listen for some facts about water discussed, as well as some that Il Noblet tells us which no one else on earth knows. Complete the facts, and you've got a little table there. So you've got the earth facts about water, and then on this side the Gapatonian facts about water. You've also got a website link to go to for checking out the facts about water on earth and how long scientists think the water on earth may last. Don't worry, it's quite a long time. And also a mathematical calculation there to help you work out, sorry, at the bottom there, to help you work out how many iconics that is. I will then go over activity 2 and activity 3 later after I've finished reading. If you don't have the worksheets, your parents or carers can download them for free from my website, catherinerosenewey.com. They just have to sign up there and they'll get access to all the worksheets as well as the Science Fiction Station worksheets. Okay, right, so let's get to chapter 6, A Playful Dog and the Water Cycle. Now you'll remember from last time, at the end of chapter 5, we left Il Noblet in the park. He was feeling a bit down because he had lost the Mutylocygography arm and he didn't know what to do. What now, I wonder in despair. I get up to search around some more. The Mutylocygography arm must be here somewhere. I look under the bushes and trees. I force myself in underneath the prickly bush where the backpack fell, getting scratches all over my face and arms, and look all over, pulling spider webs and dusty twigs out of the way, but it's not there. Then I walk back up the slope, scanning as I go. I'm wondering whether my Lumi vision would help, but it's sunny, so I don't think so. Then out of the corner of my left eye, I see a dog running with something in his mouth. Oh no, he's got the Mutylocygography arm. I look around hurriedly to check where his owner is, but can't see anyone. I call out to the dog, "Here boy, come here boy," and he stops to look at me. Then he prances around and races off, thinking it's a game, inviting me to chase him. This is serious, so I decide to telephone, even if someone sees me. I fly up to the dog and grab his back legs. He yelps and falls over, rolling a few times, then sits up, shakes his ears and looks confused. I'm lying on the ground where I landed, sniffing in dust and dry grass. The dog has dropped the Mutylocygography arm, and I reach out to grab it before anyone sees it. "What are you doing to my dog?" says someone in a cross voice. I look up and there's the same lady from before, glaring down at me and obviously not happy. Just getting my Halloween toy that he took," I blurt out. "She's a she, not a he," she says impatiently. "And it's not even near to Halloween." I snatch the arm and hurry away to find a place to bury it. The lady and her dog have walked off down the slope. I look around nervously, and thankfully no one else is around. I decide that under the prickly bush should do nicely. People and hopefully even dogs wouldn't want to go in there. Once I've dug a shallow pit with my hands, I'd forgotten to bring anything to dig with, and covered up the Mutylocygography arm, I wriggle back out of the prickly bush, scratching myself again, and brush off my hands. The nettle stings are really burning now, and there are more scratches, but I'm going to have to try and ignore them for now. I look around for somewhere to telecommune. I can't afford for anyone to disturb me this time, so I climb the nearest tree, which is luckily quite big, with several branches and lots of leaves to hide me. Then I settle down, relaxed and finally concentrating. Pretty soon I can hear the Gapatonian telecommuning beeping again, and I close my eyes. The telecommuning feels like a strong wind rushing at me and taking my thoughts at high speed away with it. Except there's no wind. Everything's still. Like time standing still, and I'm in the middle of a vortex. Some leaves rustle every now and then and in the tree, and a bird lands near me, but chirps in fright to find me there and flies off. Eventually the feeling of wind around my head slows, and I realize it's over for today. I take a moment to recover, as I feel a little drained and tired. But at least it's done. I've just telecommuned all my data about Earthian life to Gapiton. I feel quite proud of myself, but this is top secret. I can't share this with anyone on Earth. I climb down and walk back home, trying to sneak back into my house via the kitchen door, but my mum spots me. "Ill? Where on earth have you been?" she demands. "And look at you, all full of scratches and bright red. What on earth have you been up to?" Earthians seem to have this strange way of saying "what on earth" and "where on earth," when of course it's on Earth. It's not like Earthians have figured out spaceton astromorphing yet. I sheepishly mumble something about falling in the field and landing in the nettle patch. My mum sends me upstairs to bath and brings my dinner up to me a little later, and she gives me some aloe vera to rub on my arms. I guess she's trying to be nice. Mrs. Might, our science teacher, was showing us the water cycle. Can anyone tell me why water is disappearing over the years, even though it keeps going through the water cycle? David, my friend, is usually the first to put up his hand for any of these kinds of questions. For an Earthian, and a young one at that, I must say he knows a lot of things. No one else puts their hands up. I know not to answer every question. I usually know the answers, although not always the answers Earthians are looking for. But I also know I might attract unnecessary attention to me. But David doesn't mind everyone thinking he's clever and a little crazy, because he's so serious and knows a lot of stuff. Well, actually it's because the water gets lost along the way. The rain sort of stops falling, he starts saying confidently, but then becomes vaguer and trails off. I don't think he wants people to know that he might not know. Michael, who sits behind him and a bit to the side, but where I can see him, pulls his nose up and shakes his head while moving his mouth, trying to copy David, as if to say David is a know-it-all. The others, who can see Michael, laugh. I find myself laughing too, because even though Michael is a bit irritating most of the time, and he hardly ever does any work, he does look a bit like David when he mimics him. Mrs. Mike gets cross, and we're told to stop, or else we'll lose some break time. "Maybe the aliens steal it," Samantha shouts, and everyone falls about laughing again. Samantha is kind of like the girl version of Michael. She talks more than she actually does anything, and often when she talks it's to tease or bully others. "Yeah," Charlie chips in, getting excited as he does. "They probably come in the night when we're all sleeping and suck it up in huge pipes, and that's why we have droughts and stuff." Charlie is also smart like David, but he can be funnier because he's got a wild imagination, and he can get quite carried away sometimes, taking us with him. I think sometimes it can be quite good to just live for a while in a totally made-up and imaginary world and forget the present. "But how come we have so much rain here?" asks someone else. "Because they're busy stealing it from Africa and they haven't got here yet," answers Charlie. Poor Mrs. Might tries to get the conversation back to reality, back to the science lesson, but almost everyone is now involved in adding to this alien scenario of water theft. Eventually Mrs. Might gives up, which is kind of nice of her, and says, "All right, please all do a water cycle diagram in your books for homework," and then she joins in with our alien story. "So where do they store the water, and what do they do with it?" she asks. "Hey, I'm going to write a story about this," shouts Charlie. He likes writing stuff, and the rest of us envy him a little because he has a good imagination for stories and he draws wonderful pictures too. He's usually quite loud when he says anything, but we forgive him because he's quite funny and has good ideas. David is already drawing loads of tiny, detailed, intricate alien spacecraft, like scientific diagrams, showing the machinery and mechanisms on them to take up the water. I think he will grow up to be an Earthian scientist or engineer because he has such a serious, detailed mind. I'm kind of quite amused by all of this. I can see that really they don't know that actually some of what they said is true. Amongst most universals, it's a well-known fact that almost 1/10,000th iconic ago, the Mucharians took quite a lot of water from Earth because water is absolutely essential for spaciton astromorphing, and apparently they'd run out altogether. I start asking David about his drawings rather than draw my own, because if I drew what I know, not that I'm a very good drawer, I think my drawings would be too detailed, different, and maybe even scary for most Earthians to look at. I definitely don't want to draw any extra attention to me. After school, I finally get to go and try out the new add-on for Gravitonia at Charlie's house. David comes too. My mum thinks I'm doing a science project at Charlie's house, which in a way we are. My mum and dad don't really approve of computer games. They're a bit old-fashioned that way. So we still have the oldest versions of this stuff at my house. Even Dylan and Shelley complain about it. Okay, did you manage to capture any of the facts about water that were mentioned in the chapter? So you need to do that now in that table on worksheet part A. And then I'm going to talk to you about activity 2 and 3. So activity 2 at the bottom of worksheet part A says, imagine you're a Mucharian scientist. Your mission is to create a blueprint for a machine that will suck up Earth's water efficiently, which is also easy to hide so humans don't notice it. Things to consider in your design. How will you transport the machine to Earth? How does the water collection mechanism work? Where will you hide it when not in use? And how will you transfer the collected water to your spacecraft? You might need to use square paper. And you can also find out, there's a web link at the bottom there, you can find out all about blueprints, which is the way that designs are created at that web link there, and maybe create your own for this water collecting machine. And then we move on to activity 3. So when you've done that one on worksheet part B, there is a quiz about water. And there are 11 questions, and you can check this NASA Kids website to help. It may have some of the answers there. You may know some of the answers, so you're welcome to fill them in and then have a look at the climatekids.nasa.gov website to see if you were right or not. Okay, so have a lot of fun with that. I hope you enjoyed it today, and I would love to see all your work, especially your blueprints and designs for the water collecting machines. If you would like to send me any of those, take photos or scan your work, then ask your parents and carers to simply contact me via my website, catherineroseneary.com, or to answer any of the email newsletters that they were sent when they signed up for worksheets. All right, and hopefully I will see you next time for chapter 7. Over and out. Bye.